Hey entrepreneurs, it's AJ. You know that saying, you cannot connect the dots looking forward, you can only do it by looking back. It's a quote from Jobsy, Steve Jobs. It's one of my favorite quotes. And given that it's the end of the year now, almost the end of the year, I thought it might be a great time for us to sit down and have a quick chat. And let me share with you what the year was like for me. Some of the lessons that I learned, some of the things I did and why I did them. And if there's time at the end, I'll share this crazy story about a phone call from my brother. I think it's pretty entertaining. Anyway, so grab a cup of tea and let's chat for a bit. So the year started out with me releasing a new podcast, One Small Thing, and it was about me interviewing all these amazing thinkers here in Australia and there's fellow speakers. So I got to interview Bernard Salt, demographer, Hacia Atherton, who's got an amazing story about a horse crushing her pelvis and she had to, learn how to walk and how she recovered it. And the goal of One Small Thing was basically, we're all busy, we're all time poor, we're all energy poor. What is the one small thing that all these amazing people would like to share with my audiences, the change makers, the entrepreneurs, the innovators here as part of this community? So I'll leave a link below to the podcast. Go check it out. It's brilliant. The next thing I did was release a book called Discovering Opportunity Within Uncertainty. And that was based on me observing people in pain. Like the pandemic really flattened a lot of people this year. And so I wanted to share some of the lessons that I learned in navigating uncertainty. My whole life I've had to navigate uncertainty. Entrepreneurs do. So I wanted to share some of the thinking and some of the lessons and particularly 3 shifts in mindsets. So that's what that book's about. After that, I went insane again and I released another book called Reimagining Innovation. And that one was taking my heart-centered innovation model out there to the rest of the world. I have so much belief and faith in this model that it's going to solve so many challenges that we're trying to do. And look, even though it's got the word innovation in it, if you know me and you've seen my work for a while now, you'll understand what heart-centered innovation is really about. Is that about activating human potential at work? We spend so many hours at work living unfulfilled. Imagine if we could rock on up to work inspired, motivated, energized to do beautiful things, to act with purpose. That's what heart-centered innovation can give you. But unfortunately, the gatekeepers don't see it like that because they've been conditioned to think in a certain way. So, that's what reimagining innovation is all about. I'm trying to influence how people think, feel, and behave at work by trying to come in at a topic where everyone's interested in, which is innovation. So that's the trade secret for heart-centered innovation. The other thing I learned this year was about corporates. I wanted to work with corporates from about 5 years ago, transitioning from small business because it's the next level. And my dream is to be that global keynote speaker that travels the world and works with some of the best companies, sharing these ideas about heart-centered innovation and entrepreneurial thinking. And this has been really a 10-year journey, and I'm still nowhere near where I thought I would be. And this year I learned a lot about working with corporates, and I can't think of a better way to say this, so please don't get insulted, but they are such toxic environments, right? They're just people in there. The top layer is great. The young people are cool. The entry level people are great, but that middle layer, they've had decades of managing up and managing down, and just, you've got protection of power, protection of, positions, and so much just BS out there. And like me knocking on the door saying, hey, I've got something that'll really help you achieve your goals. They don't want to hear about it, and they've forgotten how to connect with a human being in that environment. Whether that's online or offline or whatever, that's something I really learned. And I've been so blessed to connect with some amazing people inside corporates that have helped me, along my journey. And they're open, they're generous, they're kind, they're beautiful, amazing people. But I've also met others that are just complete assholes, right? One guy said he had to get off the call with me because I looked like I needed to put food on the table and he didn't want to waste my time. It's just, none of these people are bad, right? They just, again, they're not assholes per se, right? They're just been in an environment where they've had to learn to survive and thrive. And now it's all about protecting what they've achieved, not really risking it for something else. And the minute I understood that, it gave me great faith in my work and my abilities, because previously it was like, well, what's wrong with this stuff? And I've suddenly realized nothing's wrong with the stuff. It's just people aren't really looking for new ideas. As much as they share, Simon Sinek's leadership stuff about being great leaders, it's all bullshit. It really is. You know what makes you a great leader? How you treat a person when they show up in front of you with whatever they show up with. If you can understand that, that makes you a great leader. Everything else is just superficial. It's superficial fluff. And, I'm at a stage now where I'm tired of it. And, which is why I'm being quite vocal right now. So that was an interesting learning. The other thing I did this year was grow out my hair, which has been really interesting. It's been a fascinating journey because, you have to battle society's conventions to be able to do that, especially if you're a guy. Growing your hair out is deeply frowned upon. Well, in my circles anyway, because you're not going against the convention, and like only 2 people in my circles actually supported me in this. Everyone else like, get a haircut, oh my God, you look terrible, whatever. But the biggest critic I had to face was that person looking in the mirror at me. It's hard, like now, like it's sort of maintainable. It's still a bit crazy every now and then, but facing that critic looking back at me and pushing forth, that awkward growth stage, it requires incredible courage. And I've done it, and it gives you a certain sense of freedom and just flexibility. And literally when I leave the house, I don't really care what I look like, what the hair looks like. It doesn't care if it gets messed up. It's incredibly freeing. It really is. And the courage that I've got from fighting these conventions helps me influence corporates, that courage to speak my mind and share these ideas, that really helps too. So that's another thing I learned this year. And I'm never going to get another time like this to enjoy growing my hair out. One day I'll have to cut it and then, move back to conventional ways. But I'm going to ride this, I'm going to say the word monkey. It's not the full saying, and I don't want to say that, but I'm going to ride this monkey until the wheels fall off. Yeah. So, yeah. All right. I think that's me done. I want to share this story with you now. So my brother rings me up, and this is the one that didn't invent fire. And I haven't spoken to him for a couple of years, but he rings me up out of the blue and he says, Brass. That's how he talks. Brass, I had this crazy dream the other day. Oh yeah, what was that? Brass, you never guess who I saw. I saw you in a debate with Vladimir Putin. Oh, true, bro. Hey, seriously, how did I go? Oh, you did all right. So, like completely awesome conversation. And I haven't spoken to him, and, it's been really cool reconnecting with him. So that was really good. Anyway, pause that conversation there and fast forward a few months later. And my flatmate tells me there's a note on my car. So my car is XJ. She's the $800 Mercedes that I bought recently, a couple of years ago, and I've been fixing her up and driving her. She's a bit battered and bruised, and people had written her off pretty much like me, but a bit of love, a bit of attention, and I got her on the road again. So I get this note from the council saying they're going to tow my car because some nutty thinks that it's been abandoned. So I looked up the regulations, and the rules are must be registered and you must be moved. It cannot stand there for 2 months. I'm like, cool. All right, so I registered the car and I moved it forward because it's got a problem with it and I couldn't drive it far. So I moved it forward and I thought that would be it. And, a couple of days later, I'm talking to a friend of mine and she says, oh, no, you need to ring the council and let them know. So I was like, all right. Well, I was having anxiety at the day, so very luckily she rang for me. And so told them everything, said Pedro was in charge of this situation. So I'm like, cool. Anyway, so a couple of days later after that, my flatmate comes running in and goes, AJ, someone's taking photos of your car, mate. They're going to tow it. I'm like, what? Where is he? And I run out and he goes, he's out there. Watch out. He's a prick. I'm like, oh God, all right, let's see what happens. Anyway, so I go there and I see him, and I go up to him and say, hi, my name's AJ. This is my car. Is there any other problems? I looked up section 11 and I've registered the car and I've moved it, in compliance. So is there any other problems? And he looked at me and goes, when did you register it? I said, last week, as soon as I got your note. He's like, all right, well, it's not coming up on my system. I'm like, okay, well, I registered it and here's my paperwork. He looked on his system. All right, yeah, it's registered. It's registered, so no other problems. I'm like, yeah, thanks so much, mate. I got the car a couple of years ago. I haven't had much time and energy with COVID to fix it up. I mean, surely you have kids and they do stupid things. Yeah, they do. Cool, mate. Thanks so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. And that was the end of that. Now, I had complete confidence in talking to this guy, whereas he'd been really rude to my flatmate. And the reason why I had confidence was when I saw him, he looked just like Vladimir Putin. You cannot connect the dots looking forward, only looking back. And so with that in mind, entrepreneurs, I wish you incredible success in 2022. Please have a safe and joyous and peaceful Christmas. I know old mate Omicron's around the place, but look, stay safe, stay inspired, and have faith in yourselves that everything is going to turn out in the most beautiful ways possible. And if you believe that, then the rest is just paperwork. My name is AJ Kalatunga. Thank you all for being a part of my journey here. It means the world to me. And whatever happens in business and in life, I wish you nothing but success. Take care.